Alright, this video is going to show you what we're going to do while we anneal your cartridge brass samples. So I'm here in front of one of our furnaces that we will be using. You've probably used this one before if you've been in other labs. Down here, you'll see the actual temperature, and then you'll see the set temperature as well. So we will have this set to your desired temperature for the lab, and we'll have this already at temperature when we're ready to put the samples in. Alright, so before we get started, some safety that we need to concern ourselves with. This is going to be a hot furnace, regardless of what temperature we're using. So we are going to have thermal gloves rated to the appropriate temperature. So these are going to be good enough to at least 600 degrees. We are going to have tongs so that we can load the samples in and out of the furnace. I'm going to go ahead and have a face shield for when the furnace is very hot. In lower temperature applications, you don't need this, but we definitely recommend it when the temperatures are up there. So if nothing else, always wear a face shield. And then we're also going to make sure we have our lab coats on for this as well. All right, so I'll take a cut here. I will put on all the appropriate safety PPE, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how we're going to load a sample in, and then how we're going to take the sample out for your cartridge brass lab. All right, I'm back here. I've got the shield on, I've got my gloves on, I've got my tongs, and I've also got my samples over here. So my brass pieces. These are cut to size for one condition. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to put these brass pieces into our furnace safely. So I'm going to use the tongs. And just up close, what I'm going to try to do is I want to get the tongs on the top and bottom, and that gives me a very secure hold on it. So how I do that for the furnace is I like to have them as close as possible. So I tend to put them on the ledge here, down here, you can see. And then I have them overhang a bit so I can grab them with the tongs. Alright, so if you are doing this in lab, you often want to have somebody help you with this, so you can have them do the door for you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to open the door, put the samples in as quick as I can, but safely as well. So you don't want it to be too open because you'll lose a lot of heat. So I'm going to try to do this as fast as possible, but number one is safety. So make sure that you have all the equipment and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I have my brass piece on the tong, and then I'm going to lift up on this, which unlocks it, and then I'm going to swing it out. And you can see in here, the furnace isn't on at the current state, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the piece, and I'm going to place it. I usually go starting left to right, but however you want, so that you know which piece is in there. And then I can put the next piece, grab it with the tongs, and then insert it into the furnace. And then again, as quickly as you can, shut the furnace and lock it down. And then you also want to kind of note down here on the thermocouple what the temperatures are to see how much heat that you've lost during that process. Okay, so that's how you put the samples into the furnace. Since this isn't on, it's just for demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and show you how we take these samples out. So same thing, I'm going to move this, unlock it, open it, and I'm going to take the samples out. The easiest ways to do this, because it's a little harder to grab them when they're on the bed of the furnace. So what I can do is I can scoot the pieces to the front, so that again they overhang a bit on the edge, and then grab them on top and bottom, and take them out. So here, again, you want to move as quickly as possible, and what we're going to have ready for you is a bucket of water. It's got sand in the bottom as well, but I'm going to put that right underneath the furnace before I get started, and so that you can take the sample out as we showed you. Close the door and put it immediately into the water, and I'm dropping it from a very low height so it doesn't splash. So let me show you that again so that you can see this time what's happening in the water. Okay, so now you've got a view of our water bucket. So I'm opening the furnace door again, and I'm going to take the sample out by scooting and then grabbing from top and bottom. Close the door. I've got my sample on the tongs. I'm going to lower it as fast as I can right above the water and then release. I do that so that the water doesn't splash. If I drop it from a very high distance, it may splash, and that water can be dangerous since we're dealing with hot brass. So that is how we do the annealing procedure for cartridge brass. You've seen how to insert and take out the samples, as well as stop the annealing process with our water bath. So hopefully that has shown you what we do when we're doing this annealing process for cartridge brass.